All right, welcome back everyone to episode 2 of Real Talk with Jess and Jen. And I'm Jess,
And
as a
I'm Jen.
reminder.
Oh, and I'm Jen. Okay, Jess, we're coming off of the weekend here. Uh,
Yes.
Last week, we got a chance to get together at a development program for our new CDs and a couple of other
Mhm.
department heads. What'd you think? How was it?
It was awesome, I think. I think that there was, I don't know if there actually was, but it just felt like there was more people there this time. I don't even know what time this is for us, but we've been there a lot for the development program and being a part of that. And so it felt like and it was really good too, because this time we did have quite the mix of people who have been about a year in role or more. And then we had some very fresh faces like day 3
Yes.
of being in role. So it was kind of cool to see all of them get together and help each other. I think that was pretty cool to see too.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it funny? I was trying to think back this weekend. I was like, what is this one for us? How many of these have we had? I feel like every time I'm like, oh, this was the best one. Like this one, the
Yeah.
talks were the best. Like we did the best on the presentations. We had such a good group. And then the next time I'm like, no, no, this was the best one. And so, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
exciting to see, right? The new clinic directors, it's excited to see the growth. We had some like you said, some really newbies. We had externals
Mhm.
that are joining Caravel for the first time. We have some coming back to Caravel. We had some internal promotions. It's great to see those BCBAs now become clinic directors when they've been working towards that for a couple of
Yeah.
years. And so just a great time to reflect on all the opportunities and I think the growth that we see in our teammates. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty cool. I don't know. Like you said, I think it was the best one yet. We'll
yeah.
see. We'll
Awesome.
see how we feel next time.
But along those lines, it means a couple days away from the kiddos, right?
Yes. Yeah. So part of CDP, it's 2 days full of content. And we go through the evening for some team building and all of those things. So it's pretty late on the second night. So typically people don't leave and go home right away. So it's 2 nights away, kind of depending on your travel sitch. It's like 3 days away, maybe 4, depending.
Yeah.
So it is some time away from your routines, from your kiddos, stuff like that. And so today we're talking about being working moms and in our roles, we're gone intermittently, but multiple nights away and stuff. And so it is a little bit different for not only us, but our family members when we're not there. Um, so yeah, that's always something. I feel like though, when we are gone, um, at least for me, I don't know, and we can talk about our kids' ages and stuff like that, but I feel like when I'm at home, I get less questions than when I'm gone, and then they call you 65 times.
I know.
And you're like, you don't even talk to me this much when I am
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. You're like, I go
Um,
all evening without hearing from you when you're
yeah,
upstairs, and now you need me every 10 minutes. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, that's exactly how it is. So, it's sad but true. So before we get into all of that too, Jen, I think it would be helpful for everyone to understand kind of how many kids we have,
Hmm.
what are their ages, because everyone's going to be in a different kind of time in their life with their kids' ages and stuff like that. And so we'll try to speak to things from the past, right? Like to when our kids were a little bit younger.
Yeah.
Um, so what are your kids' ages and how many do you have, Jen?
Yeah. I have three children. I have two girls and then a boy. The oldest girl is 12 and oh my gosh, almost be 12 and a half. I better not leave that off. Next week she'll be 12 and a
Oh
half.
yeah.
We're getting close to
Uh-huh.
13. And then
Yeah.
her younger sister is 9. She'll be 10 next month. And then my son is a little one. He's 3. So what about you?
Yeah. So I have 4. um the oldest, so I have two boys and then two girls
Mhm.
in the hierarchy. But my oldest is 16, driving, eek, all of those things. Then I have a 15-year-old son as well, and so he has his temps, so driving
Oh,
again.
driving. Yeah.
And then yeah, a little scary. And then well, now if I'm doing, it's like, so my daughter, my middle daughter is 11 and a 3/4, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah.
Her
Almost
birthday's
12.
in December. Yeah. So
Yeah.
she's almost 12.
Yeah.
And then my youngest is 6. So she's the
The
youngest of
baby.
them all. But
Yeah.
yeah, 10-year range between them. So,
Yeah. It's a
yep.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so wide range for both of us of our kiddos. And so with that, it brings you different experiences
Mhm.
as well. So um yeah, so thinking back, Jen, to what do you think is your biggest surprise about being a working mom? To you, like as you were starting your career, as you feel it now, what do you think surprised you the most?
Yeah. So I think what surprised me in becoming a mom, and so with Harper being almost 13, it was a while ago, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to think back to those early days, but when I think about it now, Jess, I think what maybe is a little bit different from some parents, but not necessarily all parents, is that work is actually my, I don't want to say escape, but work is actually my less stressful time, which is
Mm-hmm.
sounds weird to say that. Not that I don't love and cherish the time that I have with my kids more than working, but being a parent is hard. It's there's some moms, and I'm sure you know, and maybe social media makes it worse, but I think even without social media, like at the school events, like you see these moms who are just like in their element and they're so good at it and they make the
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
choices and they don't seem like they stress out about anything and they don't forget stuff. And I think being a mom is the most stressful thing I've ever done in my life. It's just, you want these tiny humans to grow into um, kind, self-sufficient, big humans that you are proud of. And sometimes the weight of your choices just feels really heavy. Um, and so, like I said, I love, you know, uh, most moments spent with my children. I won't say every, but I feel more exhausted after like a Saturday spent with all three kids, like running around and or even not even going anywhere sometimes, but like entertaining and feeding and figuring out. And um, it's so much more stressful than how I feel, I think, after a day of work. Um, which sounds kind of funny, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, I hear you. I want to stress something from what you just said too. I think the biggest thing, I I'll go back to the original question, but for right now too, is like the biggest recommendation that I would have for people is you're always going to, yeah, they're very the weight of it is, it's a lot of pressure, right?
Mhm.
And I think that pressure builds up when you try to, like, when you're comparing yourself to other people.
Yes.
Um, and so I think social media has a lot of good things, but we also talk a lot about the negative impacts of social media. And um, I would just encourage people not to compare yourself because everyone's situations are different
Mhm.
and everyone thrives on different things. I know quite a bit of people too that you're like, do they even sleep? Like, how do they do all of these things?
Yes. Yes.
Um, I- right? And so I think that's the biggest thing is get off of social media if it makes you feel negative about yourself. If you start even comparing yourself to other parents, don't do it. Just get off
Yep.
of that because everyone's situations are different. The support networks are different. The
Hmm.
situations are different. And so you would be comparing apples to oranges and you're not doing yourself any benefit by doing
Yeah.
that. So that would be what
100%.
I recommend.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing that was a surprise to me, and I feel different now than I would have when I first became a mom, to your
Hmm.
point before, but I think a lot of the pressures that we put on ourselves are for ourselves. And what I mean by that is, when you are like, am I making the best decision for my family by being a working parent?
Hmm.
Because I need to spend all of this time with my children every like I need them breathing on me. I need them that close to me at all times. I think that is really about you. That your kids don't remember when they're little like that. They don't
Hmm.
remember that. What do they remember? And it's the times that you are there and for the meaningful things in their life at that time.
Yeah.
For instance, I can share my mom was a stay-at-home mom most of my life,
Hmm.
until I think I was like in high school. Um, because I had siblings quite a bit younger than me as well. And to be honest, Jen, I don't remember
Remember?
a lot of what we did. No, I
Oh.
don't remember a lot of like what we did when she was home or
Hmm.
what I don't remember those things.
Yeah.
She probably remembers because it was something that she wanted for herself
Yeah.
and those type of things. She
Yeah.
probably remembers. I do not remember. But the thing that I do remember is when like I was into sports and stuff growing up and my mom like my I shared in the previous episode too that my dad had passed away my freshman year of high school. So it was a little bit different for me, but my mom wasn't she never really came to things and I remember that. So like
Yeah.
those were the meaningful things for me that
Yeah.
I wish she was at while she was at home previously to that and I don't remember. And so I
Yeah.
everyone's going to be different, everyone's going to feel different, but I think capturing what's meaningful to them and then being there is the most important thing.
Yeah. It's the
So,
most important thing. I love that.
yep. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I heard you talk about support systems.
Yeah.
I think that is probably the most important thing when you have children, and whether you're a working mom or a non-working mom, I think, it takes a village, is what we hear often, and it really
Yeah.
does. Why don't you talk to me
Yeah.
about the support systems that you have in place?
Yeah, so I lucked out and when my kids were a lot younger, my sister was providing daycare services
Mhm.
in through a daycare. And then when I started having kids, I was like, what about you coming and just being doing
My
daycare
daycare.
for me?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it actually worked out. She came to my house. She ended up taking care of my neighbor's kids as well at my house and like all
Oh,
of those things. So it
awesome.
just like naturally kind of worked out, for me. But so that was always helpful. But I would say, yeah, kids now, if you have kids that are in a lot of activities, it is hard to get them everywhere. It's like things that are planned in the middle of the day. And you're like,
Mhm.
a lot of people do work, and so how are you going to get them? And so, I live in a neighborhood where a lot of people are in things. So it's a lot of like, let's set up a calendar, do
Mm.
carpooling things and stuff like that. Or, leveraging grandparents if they're close by and like, hey, would you be able to do this for me? And I think that's the number one thing is that when you're a parent, you don't, especially when you're a first time parent, you hear it takes a village, but you're like, well, I want to do it myself.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a type A personality like
Yes.
me, right? And
Yes.
you're like, well, I just want to do it myself, like as much as I can, which is fine. But that what ends up happening is that you don't feel okay asking for help. And you have to get over that
Yes.
because you're going to need help. You're not going to be able to do every single thing. And so I think leveraging your support systems that way. And so, yeah, grandparents we utilize, neighbors, friends, whose kids are in similar activities. And even if it's Jen, to be honest, like we brought up before being out of town, there are
Hmm.
times when we have to be out of town that I do
Hmm.
miss things.
Hmm.
Um, and I think the one thing, and I know I just got done telling people get off of social media when it makes you feel bad, but also technology has been super integral
Yep.
and important because if I'm missing something like, hey, can you record
Record
or
this.
can
Hmm.
you like do a live or something, right? And so that's really been pretty cool that we can leverage technology to not miss as many things as you would miss without technology.
Hmm.
Um, so I would even say technology is a support system sometimes
Yeah.
for me, but I think number one, don't don't be afraid to ask for help. You're going to need it and everyone needs it and that's part of your village. So
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
about you?
Well, that just it reminds me of something when I was a single mom after my divorce. And I mean, Jess, you're divorced and you have a blended
Mhm.
family as well. It's obviously uh a lot of different feelings and emotions and feelings of failure all around and
Yeah,
every aspect of your life. But I remember
yeah.
talking to one of the girls' daycare teachers, and I don't know, it must have been her. No, it must have been Juniper's. Her daycare teacher, and just kind of saying like, okay, they're gonna have to stay longer now. I won't be able to pick them up uh consistently, like an hour before daycare closes. Like there's going to be nights now till, when they're there till 6 or 6:30. And just I think she could read it all over my face, just like this, like, oh my gosh. And
Yeah,
she just, I remember, took me by the hand and she said, don't ever feel bad about giving your child more people to love on them. Like all you're
yeah,
doing is putting more people in their lives for them to love, and that will love them and care for them and help them grow. And it was
yeah,
just opened my eyes. It was just so meaningful
yeah.
and just like, okay, it's okay. And so yeah,
Mhm.
I'm different. I don't than you, and I don't have parents close. My parents and in-laws, and my former in-laws are all 4-ish hours away, and so there's nobody family right here to help out. And you just have to build your own village. And so I got really close with my neighbors who have kids the same age, and they were just so helpful, especially in those early days. Again, when I was a single mom, and like last minute, like, okay, I gotta close the clinic tonight. Like, if I pick them up from daycare, can I drop them off here? And
Yeah,
like, can you get them to school? Can you do this? Can you do that? And just a great um yeah, just a great set of individuals. And then you grow those in school too. Like you said, like you join the carpool
yeah,
lanes and you have your kids' best friends' parents help out. And when you go out of town, like you can have a sleep, they can have a sleepover, and things like that. And so I know it's easier, it's easy to say. I'm not gonna say easier said than done. It's easy to say, but it is stressful when you start to think about like who can I trust, especially your little ones.
yeah.
Like how am I gonna build that? And I think, let yourself feel anxious and worried about it. Um, and then when you find that and you start to grow that, like let yourself be okay with that too. Like you said,
Yeah.
there might be things here and there that I miss. That somebody else sees first, when they're at daycare. And I always laugh about that. Like the
Oh,
first steps at daycare, and you don't say
yeah,
that they had their first
yeah,
steps. There's so many amazing moments that make up a childhood. And, even if you don't get to see all of them, and especially you and I with divorce, know that we miss half of the kids' lives that a lot.
hmm
It doesn't diminish what you do catch, which is great.
No, no, 100%. And there's even times now. So, initially, I can give an example. My friend Carrie, she works at the school, so she can give, little bits and pieces too. But she works at my kid's school. She's one of my closest friends.
Oh,
Um, and so there's sometimes where I'm like, hey, Carrie, can you, stay 10 minutes, I'm running late or something like that, right? And have the girls with you. The boys not so much anymore. They're at the high school. Liam has his driver's license, so his own vehicle. He can just,
you could,
figure it out.
yep.
But um stuff like that. And it's even now to the point where they're like, can we have a Carrie day? Like they just want to spend time with Carrie
Yeah.
sometimes too. And
Yeah.
so to your point, I think it's one of those things where they love her as well and they want to spend time with her now and all of those things. And so, it's additional people to love on them
Mm-hmm.
um that, makes them feel good. Like, like sometimes when, especially as you're growing up, you don't want to tell your parents everything, but they still will tell their parents' friends things if they're close enough.
Yes.
So it's like, as
Yes.
long as you have that out and, all of those things, that's great. So I think that, again, I think a lot of what sometimes we feel we're missing out on is more about us than the kids
Yes.
themselves.
Yes.
So, but,
100%. Uh, ooh, I like this. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. All right, you ready?
oh gosh, okay.
What is the biggest myth about having it all that you've learned to ignore?
You will never have it all.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was
I
gonna say
think
too. That is the
I
myth.
think that's the biggest, yeah, I think that's the biggest myth in
Yeah.
itself. I think that's the thing. If you understand you'll never have it all, but you can give it your all, I think that that's two different things, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so, sometimes giving it your all, you're going to be exhausted and you know, um, you're going to feel like maybe you didn't get it all, but you're trying your best. And I think that your kids see that, when you're trying, they see that. I think that's all you can do. So I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest myth itself is you'll never have that.
At
So,
all. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, I think about and this gets into kind of like work-life balance, which I know could be a podcast in and of itself. You could dedicate a whole I think half hour to talk about work-life balance or how I love how our chief people officer Amy said at CDP about work-life harmony. That really
yeah,
resonated with me when she said that. I was like, yes, I like
yeah,
that instead of the balance of it, more of the melding, like how does your work life fit with
yeah.
your home life, and how do you make it stay together? Um, but anyway, I think that to your point, it's never going to be all. You are never going to give, 100% to work and 100% to home life. And you have to find that split that works best for you.
hmm
And we yeah, there's just a lot of I think a lot of articles out there about how to help and a lot of which and I'm not saying I don't want you to get lost in, like researching things and trying to figure
Yeah.
out but kind of finding what works best for you and what keeps you going and what makes you comfortable with it, I think is the best we can do.
Yeah. I like the harmony term as well. And I think that I see that now, Jen, right? Like for instance, my youngest is 6, right? And she knows who you are. She's like, "Oh,
Oh,
is
I
it
love
Jen?" And now
that.
she can even read Jen's name on my, like, if I'm driving or something, the name pops up and she's like, "Oh, is it Jen?"
Oh, I love that.
Um, and so, it is that harmony. Like I can talk to you, she knows you, like she
Hmm.
can feel free now to say hi to you when she's in the
Yeah.
car with me and stuff like that. So you're just like you're integrating and it's that harmony, right?
Yes.
And so I think that that's something if you can involve your kids in your work sometimes. So for instance, if you're a BT and you're really excited about like small group or something and
Hmm.
you're or potlucks or organizing something, right? I think
Yeah.
as moms, you figure it out that you're really strong at organizing things. And so capturing that at work and having your kids like, hey kids, like let's do this together. There's a lot of times that, like you can involve them in your work and they can see and feel and breathe what you're doing. I think that that's pretty cool. Um, for this podcast, you and I were just talking about it, and my 11-year-old went on Canva and made
Yeah.
like a logo, right? So it's like, how can you integrate them into what you're doing as well? Sometimes, even if it's little things, and even if you don't end up using it, or you
Yes.
use it in different ways, or those type of things, just really reinforcing them being part of your work where you
Yeah.
can. I think that's awesome. And then on the opposite side, where can you reinforce them by, being involved in things that
And
they're
there,
doing.
yes.
And so whether that's sitting on the bleachers or that's being part of, some clubs or whatever, um, you're kind of throwing yourselves at them and they're throwing themselves at you, and creating that harmony and just really reinforcing each other and what
Yeah.
you're doing. So
Yes. I
I
love
like
that.
I really
I remember so many nights when I was, a practicing BCBA and, a clinician, and you have your own teams and just being at home and like cutting out the flashcards and, giving them like, hey, can you help me laminate this? Like, hey, can you
yeah.
help me cut this? And it's so
Hmm.
great. I know when I think about I just feel grateful to have found such a great field and a great career. And it's so, I think when you feel passionate about your work, and you feel like uh, this is, I feel strongly that this is what I have been called to do. It's great that your kids see that. And so that hopefully one
A
day they
hundred
feel
percent.
like they want to chase their own passions and they want to, um,
100%.
yeah, they want to find
Hmm.
that for themselves.
Yeah. If they see you happy, they know it can be done in their career,
Yes.
whatever they
Yes.
choose, right? And so if they are pursuing that passion and pursuing that happiness, that's all you can really ask for as a parent.
Yes.
So yeah, it's huge. And I think too, as the kids get older, kind of like what we strive to do here at Caravel, as well as like that communication and proactively communicating the why, all of those things, especially when there's changes or things that are thrown at you. I think the same thing I try to really focus on with my kids. Like, it's not going to be a secret that I'm missing something. I'm going to tell them, like,
Yes.
hey, I have to
Being
be out of
upfront.
town for work.
Yep.
Yeah, I have to
Hmm.
be out of town for work. I'm going to do XYZ. And they're
Hmm.
just like, most of the time, Jen, they're like, oh, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, know?
Yep.
And so again, it's that guilt as a parent that you
Yeah.
feel more than they probably, but again, you don't want to assume that they're not going to care either. And so it's
Yes.
really about that communication and
Communication.
communicating up front.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've learned over time is they want that communication just as much as we do in our
Yes.
careers or in our personal lives, with like other adults, stuff like that. And so just really focusing on that communication, I think, is important, especially as they get older,
Yeah.
as well.
I
So,
love that. All
yeah.
right. We probably have time for one
Okay.
more question or topic. You want me to
Okay.
pick?
Sure.
Oh, I like this one. And we can look beyond. It's about your partner if you have one at home with you, and just about how you split some of those parenting, those household tasks, what works, what doesn't work. Um yeah, and what have you found, Jess, that I think that works for you guys at your house?
Yeah. So, as you had stated, right, we're in a situation of a split family and
Mhm.
then blended families.
Yep.
So my kids, their dad is remarried, I'm remarried, and both of us have one child together. So I call them the big three.
Yeah.
And then each of them have what turns out a sister at at both houses.
Yeah, both houses.
Um, yeah, so I think it's a little bit different for us because we do have more people involved just naturally
Mhm.
with different things. I would say the biggest thing is always getting the kids to and from and all of those things. That's a huge, I call myself an Uber driver without getting paid
Oh,
because that's what
what you
it's a
do.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it did get better with Liam having his driver's license, but it's still a lot of, then he has his own commitments and then you have to still figure it out for the other
Yeah,
ones.
it's
And
just an
so,
added person that you have to check in with then. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Hey, what are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think Again, I really think it's about communication and saying like, "Hey, this is what I need help with." Because I think
Yes.
you get into your routines, and so people just expect that Jess is going to do XYZ, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's like, "Hey, I'm not going to
I
be
can't do
able to do
this.
XYZ. I need
Mm-hmm.
you to do that." And so it's not only communicating with my husband, it's communicating with my ex-husband,
And his
sometimes his
wife.
wife,
Yep.
stuff like that. And so I think that you kind of get into the routine of things, but then you still need to be confident and vulnerable, I think,
Mm-hmm.
enough to say like, "Hey, I'm not going to be able to do that this time. I'm going to need you to do this."
Yep.
So I think that that's been an important piece of all of that.
Yeah.
So,
I was
what
gonna
about
say
you?
the same thing. That was mine.
Okay. Okay.
Communication, I think it goes without saying that, yeah, when you say like I need help, I need you to do this, um, it's really great to be able to divide those tasks when you have, two parents at home. Like I said, sometimes you have um other exes and whatnot that can help out with that. I think another thing, which is not necessarily um related to having a partner to do it, but I think letting go of what doesn't need to get done, like prioritizing. And
Yeah.
you know me, Jess, I'm the first one to be like, household tasks, okay, let's skip the dishes tonight. We're not doing them. Which my husband is not. My
Yeah.
husband, luckily, is much more like, no, we need to get this done. We need to get this done. But I think as a working mom, a working parent, just you become a master at prioritizing. And like, this is something that
Mhm.
is code red. I need to do. And this is something that can wait. And I am much more of the mindset that like, yeah, you know what, the laundry, I'm instead of doing the laundry, I'm gonna go into the back of my closet and wear that old outfit that I haven't worn in a year instead of doing laundry. And that's just me. I am much more like, I love my 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I am ready to go to bed at 9. Like if I have stuff to do after that, it's not getting done. um
Yeah.
and so just, and I know that I'm, very different than a lot of other people that might find other things fill their body. Like they can't go to sleep until everything is clean in their house. Like I know that some people are like
That's
that.
me.
That's you.
That's
Yeah.
that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think that would be me though, and that's what's so funny is like as a teenager, I was so annoyed by my mom. Like every Saturday morning, she had to be vacuuming at like 7 in the why? Why are we vacuuming at 7 in the morning when I'm a
To get it
teenager?
done.
I definitely do have some of my mom's tendencies now, where I like a clean house. And so some of those things, Jen, to be honest, like the other day we went on a family vacation. I needed to get all of the loads of laundry done before I went to bed. Otherwise, I probably would have not been able
Stop.
to sleep. And
Yeah.
so yeah, everyone's a little bit different what
Yeah.
they, need to do. But yeah, I agree. You need to prioritize because otherwise, yeah, you're going to feel
Yep.
really, really tired if you don't, because you're not going to sleep.
You
So,
can't do it all, right?
nope. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was great, Jess. That was awesome learning about you as a working mom and what works and what doesn't. What do you have for us for episode 3? What are we thinking?
Ooh, I think what we're going to be talking about is we're going to have another special guest on, Dr. Jody, and we will talk a little bit about our BCBA Rise program that's coming up here.
I'm so excited. I can't wait. I feel
Yeah.
like we hear, snippets here. I've heard a little bit here, and been involved in some of the meetings and the listening sessions. And I'm just excited to get, to hear Dr. Jody talk about it, and make sure that everybody knows where it's at and look forward to
Yeah,
what's going to come. So,
it's one of our biggest things we're focused on, right, is the growth of our team. And so everyone will get to learn a little bit more about what we're thinking in terms of that vision, at least as it relates to BCBA Rise. So that will be really exciting. I also, before we end, I wanted to show you my
ah,
shirt, right? So I wore my mom shirt today, the mama, mommy, mom, and then bra, because I'm a bra these days,
the
with especially my
evolution.
teenagers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
So,
evolution of mom. Yes. All right, everybody.
awesome.
Well, we will see you next time.
Yep. Bye bye.
Bye.